The homies are back. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Dr. Stone Wars Episode 3, or if you prefer, Season 2, Episode 3 of Dr. Stone. And yeah, our homies Taiju and Yuzuriha are back. It's been quite a while. Most of Season 1 they were gone. They were kind of acting as spies for Senku to spy on the Tsukasa Empire, and we got like tiny glimpses of them, but didn't really see them until this last episode. We finally get them back with the cell phone being delivered, and then discovering it properly. It's like, yeah, we were finally getting back to that. And don't get me wrong, I love the citizens of Ishitani Village. They're all fantastic, except maybe, I don't know, Magma. But I'm glad to see the original homies back still. It's been so long, and honestly, in universe, it's been quite a while too, because Senku's been at this for a long time. It's like, it's been at least 6 months, right? So I'm just curious to see like how this reunion eventually goes when they actually see each other again, because communicating over the phone is one thing, but seeing each other in person is going to be I feel a big deal. On top of that, this past week I began watching a new series of reactions for this, because a reactor I discovered, Angel Rodriguez, has started reacting to Dr. Stone this past week. And he's going through the episodes pretty damn quickly. Like, I think pretty much once a day. And he's really enjoying it so far, and I'm enjoying his reactions. And getting to go back into Season 1 again for the first time in quite a while, it's allowing me to, like, experience a lot of that stuff that led to this. Like, the recent episode just from today was, like, when Gen first appeared and everything. Just literally kind of appeared out of nowhere while they were serving ramen to everybody. And getting to see like how Taiju and Yuzuriha originally like separate from Senku, how Senku discovers the village with the help of Kohaku and everything. It's like getting to see this all again just really makes me appreciate it more as we're currently going through Stone Wars, the second season. It's adding like almost a new layer of like interest that while I had before, obviously I love this series, but it just adds on to it. It increases my interest from what it was. And this is also something I was thinking about just as a little kind of side thing. Because I saw just this past week on like Twitter and stuff, there was a new trailer released for Season 3 of Fire Force. And I've come to realize I like Dr. Stone like notably more than Fire Force. Like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Fire Force to a degree. I have issues with it to some point. And I've shared that like a lot with like my Season 2 reactions to it, and even back in Season 1. Stuff with like Tamaki especially. But I think I like Dr. Stone more. I think I just enjoy it more. It's more fun to watch. I like the characters more overall. And while I wouldn't necessarily say like there's a character like Maki in Dr. Stone, right now at least, I think I just like the characters overall more. And with Maki, it's mostly just like I really like her because she's hot. But also I do really like her character. Season 2 expanded on her character in some good ways. But yeah, it's like there's no muscle mommy character in Dr. Stone right now. The most muscular characters we've seen are like a lot of the guys. like magma and whatnot. Even strong girls like Kahaku, she's more slim fit. You know what I mean? She more has like this athletic build. She's not muscular, exactly. I wonder if we will get any like notably muscular female characters in this series. Like I feel like logically we easily could, but I haven't seen any. Um, like even like online, like because I've seen like various things online, um, just here and there. I don't remember most of it, but I don't think I've ever seen like like a muscular female character just randomly. Because just scrolling through the internet, you'll randomly see something from Doctor Stone, especially with like the new season and everything having aired or still airing. Maybe I think maybe still airing. Um, but it's like randomly I'll scroll through Twitter and I'll just see something about like season 4 of Doctor Stone or season 5 or whatever season it is, and it's like there's this picture because it's like a screenshot from an episode or like a thumbnail for a trailer or something like that. I'll just occasionally see, and I don't like pay attention to it. I scroll past it, but I'll still see it. I mean, that's just how things work. But yeah, um, I really enjoy this series, and I'm very excited to see where it goes because I still think these Stone Wars. I don't think the war against the Tsukasa Empire is going to be this entire season. I just don't see that happening. Like I could see maybe the first half of the season, but even that, it's like I don't see it lasting that long because it's like I don't see how it could. With the way this is paced, like yeah, they're building up to it still, and we're getting a lot of the science experiments and whatnot. But once the actual war begins, I feel like it's one, maybe 2 episodes. Like 3 at absolute max, but that's pushing it. And that's only basically accounting for like if there's like a lot of explanation of stuff during like some kind of big confrontation. But I feel like this is going to actually be resolved a lot easier than we're thinking and expecting. Because I feel like it has to be with a series like this. Because this series is not about action. It's not about fighting. It's not about like, a lot of typical shonen things you see. It's not a battle anime. This series is about science and human progression. It's about these characters living in a world that they shouldn't have to be living in and learning to utilize Senku's intelligence and the skills from everyone else to bring themselves back into a world of technology, a world of modern sensibilities and whatnot. They're trying to advance civilization back to where it was, and that's what it's about. Like, yeah, this conflict was set up since the very beginning, but I don't think it's going to be that long. I don't think it's going to be that drawn out. This isn't like Dragon Ball Z or something where the action is the main focus. The action is just basically because there's a conflict of interest between two people's views on how to handle the progression of society. um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where we go now because we have a prisoner, so I'm wondering how that's going to affect things because we have one of the Tsukasa Empire under our hold, for lack of a better word. We're continuing to progress the kingdom of science with all these different inventions, and it's going to be interesting to see like when Tsukasa actually really comes into play this season because he hasn't so far. When is he actually going to fully come into play? When is he going to start being a problem? And one last thing, speaking of Tsukasa, rewatching season 1 and just continuing to see once again like how Tsukasa is actively, and even Senku like makes note of that, how Tsukasa is not a bad person. In fact, he's a very good person doing very bad things because of his trauma. It's like watching season 1 again and seeing how even Senku admits to that, and how it's like they've gotta save him, right? They've gotta like get through to him somehow. I have no idea how it's gonna happen, but it's gotta happen. It's like there's no way they're not going to redeem Tsukasa. He's too cool of a character. He has too much nuance and depth. There's no way they're not going to redeem him, right? Maybe that's just me being hopeful. Maybe that's just me wanting it, because I definitely want it. I want Tsukasa and Senku to actually become friends, especially after that line about Tsukasa not having friends, and like thinking that in another world, in another situation, that Senku could have been his first friend. It's like I want it to happen so bad. Again, maybe that's just me, but I really want it to happen. Either way, we're gonna get into this now and see what this episode has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, we have a muscular girl, like I was talking about in the pre-thoughts. That's wild. That happens sometimes. But I had to look up her age. And the reason for this is because, like, if she is supposed to be, like, an older teenager, because she's clearly not, like, Senku's age. If she were, then I would want to make sure of that, so, like, I don't simp over a teenage character. I mean, just, it wouldn't be right. And knowing that would help me completely, like, get that thought out of my mind. But I looked it up, and I'm seeing conflicting reports on this. I've seen a couple sources say she's 17 during this part in the series, specifically the Stone Wars. But then I saw, like, an article that went into depth about things and specifically mentioned that her age is never explicitly said, not only in the manga and anime, but her age is never said by the creators at all. That her age is specifically kept vague. And that's really interesting to me. Like, there's this entire article I found, like, when I looked it up on Google. It's on a site called sears.com.sv. And this is just from the end of 2024, December 3rd. And it just says that... basically, to sum up the article, it says that her age is purposefully kept vague, is purposefully kept kind of unknown by the creators, and that there's been no statements that have, like, expressed what her actual age is, like, again, in the manga, in the anime, or, like, officially put out. So if that's the case, then where did the 17 come from, I wonder? Is it just because her backstory showed her as a student and all, and people just kind of assumed she had to be? Because, like, based on her design and everything, she reads as, like, someone who's at least in her mid-20s. To me, at least. And this article is stating that she definitely, like, based on evidence within the source material, I didn't look, I kind of skimmed through it because I didn't want spoilers. I don't even know if the article like went too in deep with spoilers, but I just wanted to be safe. But based on evidence within it, the author of the article um, sees her as being a bit older than like our main characters, and so that's that's kind of the kind of vibe I got from her too. Cause like looking at her character design here, I'll mute this just in case. Um, Let me see if I can find it here. One that's not like just an extreme close up. She definitely looks young. Like she's not like I don't think she's like 30 or anything or higher or anything like that. I would say I would say she's somewhere between 21 and 25. I would say she reads like that. But again, it's hard to say apparently. And I just I don't know is what it comes down to. And again, I'm going through all of this and I'm talking about this because I've made it clear on this channel in general, I tend to really have a type when it comes to strong, muscular women. I was talking about it in the pre-thoughts with Maki from Fire Force. Um, I like muscular women. It's a type for me. I'm very attracted to that. But I also acknowledge if a character is underage, my like interest goes completely out the window because it's not right and my mind equates that with that. So even if like a character is muscular, if they're underage, I'm just my interest is just non-existent. But when a character is shown and there's no age stated, I want to be sure. I want to be safe. I don't want to just assume. Unless it's made very clear through some kind of context within the media, I want to be safe, and that's why I looked it up. And again, I'm not getting a clear answer. So right now, I'm going to kind of base it off of the visible evidence I'm getting. Unless anyone in the comments can clarify for me. Um, because again, what I'm seeing online there seems to be like a conflict of like what the truth is, but this article seems the most well thought out, at least. So it's hard to say, but I'm thinking she's probably, based on like again all the clues we do get, she seems like she's an adult. So I'm going to go by that unless I'm told otherwise. If I'm told otherwise, that will change things. But yeah, moving on. So this episode was like obviously directly following up from the last one. Um, I'm gonna talk briefly about the stuff with Gen and Chrome and Magma because that was like I wouldn't even call that a full B plot. It was very much like I feel like the stuff with Nikki and everything else going on with Taiju Yuzuriha, the discussion on the phone, that was like 75% of the episode, and only 25% was dedicated to the other stuff. And Chrome eventually, or not Chrome, again, eventually joined the main plot. So, like, what happened to Chrome and Magma? We don't even know at the moment. Last we saw, they were just screaming and, like, running around in the smoke. Um, Gen got back, though, so he's good. But yeah, it's like basically their entire thing was, oh, the archer guy, I can't think of his name right now, is watching them. They're being stupidly loud. He doesn't see them, but he knows something's around, so he's listening because he has good hearing. And so they decide to like create this, this distraction to let Gen escape. And it works out. Gen escapes, Gen gets back. And that's pretty much all we see. Again, we don't know what happened with Chrome and Magma right now. We did see the guy fire an arrow off, but we never saw, like, if it hit or anything. So curious about that. Um, Most of the episode though was focused on, at first, Taiju and Yuzuriha. We saw from their perspective how they came upon the phone and their conversation with Senku, which we went further into. But we also saw during this entire time they're being watched by Nikki. And she's watching from a distance. She can't hear what's going on, but she is watching. And so eventually we kind of start to formulate this plan. It's like they're telling Taiju and Yuzuriha, it's like, you need to find someone you can bring here. We're going to trick them. We're going to get them on our side. And we're not going to tell, and they don't tell them the entire plan, because Taiju should not know the entire plan. It will probably mess things up if he did. But they go and get, they go and get Nikki, because she's the guard, and Taiju feels like she'll be valuable in that regard to get to their side. At first, she wants nothing to do with it, because she's suspicious of everything, and she just doesn't trust this. It obviously makes no sense to do this. But after Taiju like powers through her punches and tells her, it's like, you need to come talk with my friend, her curiosity is piqued enough, and she goes. Gen gets there right in time, and they start the conversation. And at first, she is kind of buying into it, but also suspicious, because there's a little difference to the voice, and she picks up on that, because apparently Nikki is a super fan of Lilian. See, we get kind of a bit of her backstory here. Nikki was she was always this like butch girl growing up. She was more muscular, more like physically aggressive, and more quote unquote masculine than other girls around her. And it caused her to kind of become this loner. She never had friends. She was on her own, and she felt picked on and everything as well. She felt like she was like mistreated for the way she was. But Lillian's music saved her. It gave her hope. It gave her like happiness, and made her feel accepted. It allowed her to like really connect to something in a way that no one else would ever do with her. And so she starts quizzing the fake Lilian on all this information. And it's seeming, I mean, the amount of records sold ends up being correct by guess, basically. But the measurements thing is not. And she susses out that it's a fake because of how it was answered as well. But playing the record wins her over. Hearing Lillian's music again, and being brought to like how her life was, helped, how her let's be honest, emotional state was brought into a good place by Lillian's music in the past. It won her over, and she realized that Senku's not a bad person, that she just wants to make sure at this point that the record, the last existing record of Lillian's music that could ever exist, is kept safe. She understands that nothing else can be brought back. This is the only bit of that will ever exist again. And she was won over, and she is fully on their side now for this cause. Because she believes Senku when he says that he'll keep it safe no matter what. And that's really interesting. She clearly has a lot more depth to her character than you would necessarily think. And I like that. I really like that. Also, just is a complete success for our first new recruit to the Kingdom of Science from the Tsukasa Empire. Like, because we had Gen kind of defect. He was kind of working with the Tsukasa Empire, but to be honest, Gen was always on his own side. He does things for himself, and he was only aligned with Tsukasa because it benefited him. He said it in season one. He's selfish. He admits to this, and he knows it to be true. He's selfish. He's self-serving. Whatever is going to work best for him. And we know Senku won him over in season one. And Homura is being, kept captive right now. She's not, won over. She's just being held under, she's tied up. So she doesn't count. This is the first member of the Tsukasa Empire who I feel was like truly a member of the Empire to be won over. And I think that's a really big deal. To win her over also by utilizing something that means something intensely personal to her also just is like exactly what would work for this situation. But the fact that this entire episode was pretty much just that is also pretty interesting. Like, this episode was so dedicated just to getting Nikki on our side. And we didn't really have focus on any other new inventions or whatnot. Pretty much everything we saw was already in place. It was just the execution of things set up before. And honestly, no matter what, like, her age or whatnot might be, I still like Nikki as a character. Like, I like that we get this in-depth backstory right from the start. I like her personality. And again, even, like, no matter what, whether simp for it or not, I like her design. I think it's just a well-thought-out design that really makes her stand apart from other characters in this series. Her hairstyle especially is very unique. Because it kind of has a vibe of, like, kind of similar, I guess, to the Ishitani villagers, but also has the pigtails and everything. It's a very interesting hairstyle, but it definitely captures your attention and makes you, like, invested to, like, just see more. It's like, who knows what other kind of wacky hairstyles we're going to get from characters in this. But yeah, I like her character so far. I'm very interested to see what they do with her from here on out. She mentioned that she might end up falling for Senku, but I don't know if they're going to follow through on that and have that be, like, part of her character from here on out, that she has kind of a crush on Senku. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm very interested to see how she's going to help get others to join. And how exactly this is going to work past this. I'm very curious. And going back to the opening real quick, I want to end with this because we see her in the opening. Let me try to find that part. There's one part in the opening where we see, like, a bunch of characters, like, in the old world. It's like right after Gen does the voice on the phone. Yeah, you see her sitting there as, like, a kid in the old world crying. That fade into her, it's like I never had a reason to, like, really notice that before. But now, knowing her backstory, the fade from Gen, singing into the phone to her crying there, it is, like, really good. Like, that's a really good visual in the opening. Because you see her crying, but then she looks up and smiles and everything. You see the posters of Lilian behind her. Wow, all of this was in the opening, and I didn't even realize. Like, going back and, like, analyzing this one part of the opening, I didn't even notice the Lilian posters behind her. I didn't notice at all. Like, even watching the opening in this reaction, I noticed she was there, but I didn't notice the posters. Oh, and the guy at the radio. Like, That's the Archer guy, right? The short, like, kind of like messy white hair. He's like sitting at like a radio. He's like holding the headphones to his head. He has the blue cap on. That's him, right? That's gotta be. Then we see some guy who's sitting like at a desk or something. He puts his feet up on the desk. He has like this wild orange hair. And then, of course, Homura doing her gymnastics. Huh. And we see a couple shots of other characters that we've already seen, like Byakuya and Lilian and whatnot. I'm not going to analyze the entire opening, but that's really interesting. So the orange-haired guy we haven't seen yet. Um, the Archer is definitely going to be a notable character. Like, we've set up way too much with him up for it to be otherwise. He's definitely going to be important. He might be the next person we recruit. That would actually be extremely useful for a number of reasons. Um, but yeah, it's like I didn't. I noticed. I only noticed right now she was in the opening because I didn't have a reason to notice before. I only noticed like in this reaction in this episode. But then I go back right now, like, and notice the Lillian posters and everything, and the way she looks up, like after showing Gen with the microphone, or not microphone, but the phone cup, for lack of a better word. It's like the imagery in that. Okay, that's impressive. That impressed me with the imagery there. Uh, that's really good. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see more. So, um, we will check out more next week, and hopefully it continues to be this good. It's like so far this is like a really strong start, but we're also waiting to get to the actual wars themselves. Like, the actual battle has not begun. We're like kind of waging war with science right now. We're gathering allies still. See, I thought the Stone War was going to begin rather quickly, but no. So we might actually somehow manage to make this entire season be about the Stone Wars, then, right? If there's going to be a lot more of this kind of stuff, we might be able to. But we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, no spoilers. Do not spoil me to anything in the future. I'm as blind as can be on this. I've seen like some character stuff from the future, but I don't remember most of it. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, um, but just keep spoiler free anyway, because I don't want to know anything. Anyways, yeah, I'm bad at talking today. You get what I mean. No spoilers. That being said, though, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.